I want you to picture something for a second. You're standing in your bedroom, and you're staring into your closet.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, you're looking right at the discard pile. You know exactly the pile I'm talking about, right? It's that sad, neglected heap of clothes just shoved in the corner.
Right, the one everyone pretends isn't there.
Exactly. There's the shirt with the giant, unexplainable ink stain.
Hmm.
There are those jeans with a blowout so severe that they're just beyond any patch job. And of course, the obligatory single, unmatched sock.
Always the single sock.
Always. But, like, what do you actually do with them? Because throwing them in the trash feels incredibly wrong.
It really does. It feels like a moral failure.
It does, especially when we all know the environmental toll of apparel production. But you can't exactly donate a heavily stained, torn shirt to someone in need either.
Right, nobody wants that on a rack.
No, of course not. So it just sits there, taking up space and giving you this tiny dose of guilt every single time you look at it.
It's a remarkably universal experience, honestly. We all have that pile. And it really stems from a very real, very modern dilemma.
Which is what, exactly?
Well, the infrastructure for our consumption is just incredibly seamless now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy a garment with one click, but the infrastructure for disposal hasn't kept pace at all.
Oh, that makes so much sense. We're great at buying, terrible at throwing away.
Exactly. We produce and consume textiles at a staggering rate. And the back-end logistics for dealing with the fallout are, they're only just starting to catch up to the sheer reality of the volume we're dealing with.
Which is exactly why we are taking a deep dive into this today. Our mission is to track the physical journey of an old garment.
Right from the bottom of your laundry hamper.
Yeah, right from the hamper all the way to its surprisingly complex, highly industrial second life. We've synthesized a massive stack of data, industry reports, and logistical breakdowns to really understand this entire ecosystem.
It is a massive ecosystem, too.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the hard facts. Just how pressing is the textile waste situation right now? Like, we know fast fashion is a beast, but what are the actual mechanics of the problem?
The scale of the issue is honestly difficult to overstate. I mean, the fashion industry is currently one of the world's largest contributors to waste and pollution.
Wow.
Yeah. Every single year, millions of tons of garments are just thrown away. They hit the landfills directly.
And they just sit there.
They do. And the really concerning part, from like a purely chemical perspective, is the material composition of modern clothing. Discarded clothing today is heavily reliant on synthetic fabrics.
Right, because everything has stretch now.
Exactly. And when those synthetics end up in a landfill, they don't just harmlessly degrade back into the soil like an old cotton shirt would.
Because they're plastic.
Precisely.
Right.
Depending on the blend, they can take decades or even centuries to fully decompose.
Right, because we all know polyester is essentially petroleum-derived plastic. But, conceptualizing your old gym shirt as a literal plastic water bottle sitting in a landfill for a century, it really reframes the urgency here.
It's a great analogy. It really makes it tangible.
Because synthetic fibers like nylon, acrylic, or elastane, they're just polymers in a different shape. They're taking up physical space, and they're leaching microplastics as they slowly break down.
Yeah, those microplastics are a massive issue on their own.
Huge issue. And on top of that, they represent this massive sunk cost of the natural resources that went into extracting that petroleum in the first place.
This raises an important question, though. What is the functional difference between donating and recycling? And why does that distinction dictate the entire supply chain?
Oh, that's a good point, because they aren't the same thing.
Not at all. The benefits of true industrial textile recycling are profound. They operate on a completely different mechanical level than simply handing a wearable coat to a thrift store.
So what does proper recycling actually achieve?
Well, proper clothing recycling directly intercepts that massive landfill influx we were just talking about. It drastically lowers carbon emissions by circumventing the agricultural or petrochemical extraction phases of virgin material production.
Right, because you don't have to grow new cotton or drill for new oil.
Exactly. It conserves water and land. And crucially, it's the foundation of circular fashion initiatives.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning we are engineering entirely new textile products from recovered molecular or mechanical fibers.
So it's the difference between extending a garment's life by passing it to a new owner and literally breaking a garment down to its base components so it can be reborn.
That is a perfect way to put it.
But before we get to the how, we really have to talk about the what, because there is a trap here, and it's called wish cycling.
Oh, wish cycling is the worst.
It is. It's that thing where you throw a greasy, torn shirt into a standard municipal blue bin and just sort of hope the recycling plant magically figures it out.
Which they don't. That
Yeah.
usually just jams up all their machinery.
Exactly. To interact with this specific ecosystem, we have to clearly define what qualifies for these programs.
Yeah.
The industry term for this is unwearables.
Unwearables. That is the critical designation right
So
there.
define that for us.
Unwearables are garments that have truly reached the end of their functional lifespan as clothing. We aren't talking about a sweater you're just bored of.
Right, not just last season's fashion.
Exactly. We're talking about items with excessive structural wear and tear, stains that have permanently bonded with the fabric, rips and friction damage that completely compromise the garment's integrity.
Like a totally blown out knee on a pair of work jeans.
Exactly. Or items missing essential, hard-to-replace components, like, say, a winter coat missing its entire zipper track. Or simply textiles that are so degraded they offer no insulation or protection anymore.
Okay, so let's say I have this pile of genuine unwearables. I understand they're essentially resource banks, and I get the environmental imperative.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'm a very impatient person. If we aren't putting them in the trash, we need an infrastructure that matches our consumption speed. Where do they actually go?
Well, the logistics have actually adapted beautifully to different consumer behaviors. We can break it down into 5 main avenues.
Okay, lay 'em on me.
First, if you're a high-frequency shopper, the most integrated avenue is retail recovery programs. Many major fashion retailers now have in-store textile recycling bins right on the sales floor.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. You just walk in and drop off your stuff.
Yep, you drop off shirts, jeans, jackets, even socks and bedding. And what's really clever about this is the economic loop it creates.
Because they give you something in return, all right?
Exactly. The brands often provide discount coupons or loyalty points for your deposit.
See, that changes the economic incentive entirely. You drop off your ruined jeans, you get 20% off a new pair, and the brand secures your foot traffic while also capturing those raw materials.
It's a win-win. It closes the loop right there at the point of sale.
It's brilliant. But what if I'm not heading to a mall anytime soon? Say I'm doing a massive Sunday house cleanout, and I have 3 giant trash bags of unwearables.
That is where the second option, municipal infrastructure, takes over. Local textile recycling centers are becoming much more common now.
Like the city dump.
Sort of, but dedicated facilities. They're operated by the city or county waste management. When you drop your bulk textiles there, you're plugging directly into the industrial sorting chain.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, these facilities act as aggregators. They pool massive tonnages of textiles before they're sold off to the specialized processing plants.
Okay, if you're in a city, that's great. But accessibility is always the bottleneck in recycling, right? If I live in a rural area, I'm definitely not driving 2 hours just to drop off a bag of old towels.
Exactly, which is why the logistics adapt with our third option mail-in programs.
Okay, how does that work?
Several specialized recycling companies now offer box and ship services. You request a designated bag or box, pack up your unwanted textiles, and literally just hand it to your postal carrier.
That is incredibly easy.
It decentralizes the collection process entirely. And just like the retail bins, many of these mail-in services partner with brands to offer digital rewards or store credits.
Pack it, ship it, forget it. I love that. That covers the accessibility gap completely. But wait, let's look at the charity route for a second, because I have always hesitated there.
Really? Why is that?
Well, dropping a hopelessly stained shirt at a local charity always felt like I was just burdening a well-meaning nonprofit with my trash. I always assumed they only wanted things they could put on a hanger right now.
You know, it's a completely logical assumption. And it's a very, very common misconception.
Wait, so I can give a charity my hopelessly stained t-shirt. Doesn't that just give them more work?
No, actually. While charities absolutely prioritize highly wearable donations for their storefronts, because that generates immediate retail revenue, the nuance here is that they don't just throw the unsellable stuff in the dumpster.
They don't.
No. The major charities operate as massive aggregation hubs. They actively partner with commercial textile recyclers on the back end.
Ah. So there's a B2B secondary market happening behind the scenes that we don't even see?
Precisely. Those commercial recyclers purchase the unwearable, damaged clothing from the charities by the pound.
Oh, wow, they actually pay for it.
They do. So instead of being a waste management burden, that stained shirt is essentially a traded commodity.
That is fascinating.
The recyclers get the bulk raw material they need to run their plants efficiently, and the charities turn damaged fabric into liquid funding for their community initiatives. It's a completely symbiotic economic relationship.
It really turns what I thought was an imposition into actual operational funding for them.
That is so good to know. Okay, but let's bypass the industrial shredder for a second. Is there a fifth option, an alternative to breaking the material down completely?
Yes, and it's a rapidly growing sector, upcycling and repurposing services. This intercepts the garment before it hits the industrial shredder.
Right, like those craft fair bags made from old jeans. Exactly. Instead of breaking the fibers down to their molecular base, designers and repurposing facilities transform the existing fabric into an entirely new product.
Oh, I've seen this. A heavy canvas jacket might be recut into a really durable tote bag.
Yep. Or old hotel towels become industrial cleaning cloths. Old sweaters get repurposed into pet bedding or even acoustic panel covers.
It drastically extends the life cycle of the textile while maintaining its original woven strength.
Exactly. It's a great intermediate step.
Okay, so that's the artisanal or small-scale industrial route. But I really want to look under the hood of the massive global recycling machinery.
Quite the machine.
You drop the clothes in a bin at the mall, or a charity sells a 2-ton bale of ruined denim to a processor. But then what? Is it magic?
Typically feels like magic sometimes.
Let's trace the actual mechanics of textile recovery, because it sounds a bit like alchemy to me. How does a ruined shirt physically transform into raw material?
Well, it is a highly engineered sequence. The journey starts with collection and aggregation, which we just outlined. Massive bales of textiles arrive at a processing facility.
Okay, picture massive warehouses full of bales.
Exactly. And the absolute most critical step happens next, sorting. You have to separate thousands of tons of material according to composition, quality, and structure.
And I imagine a human sorter can't reliably tell the difference between a 100% cotton shirt and a 90-10 poly-cotton blend just by touching it on a fast-moving conveyor belt.
They absolutely can't. It's impossible. Which is why manual sorting is rapidly giving way to automated optical sorting technologies.
Like optical sorting, like cameras.
Even better, modern facilities use near-infrared, or NIR, spectroscopy.
Oh, wow. Okay, how does that work?
As garments fly down a conveyor belt, infrared light reflects off the fabric. Every material, cotton, polyester, nylon, wool, has a completely unique optical signature. It's a specific wavelength that bounces back.
So the sensors read that signature instantly?
Instantly. And then pneumatic air jets shoot the garment into the correct bin as it falls off the belt.
That is so cool. The engineering there is brilliant because obviously a natural fiber and a synthetic polymer have to be treated completely differently in the next phase.
Exactly. You cannot mix them at that stage.
So once we have a massive bin of perfectly sorted, unwearable, 100% cotton, what happens in the processing phase?
For the vast majority of unwearables, they undergo mechanical recycling. Now, warning, this is a violent, highly physical process.
That sounds intense.
It is. The clothes are fed into garnetting machines. These are essentially massive rotating drums covered in thousands of sharp steel pins.
Like a giant cheese grater.
Kinda, yeah. The pins grab the fabric and literally tear it apart, ripping the woven structure down into raw, fluffy fibers.
But mechanical shredding has a physical limit, right? Like you're physically tearing the threads. That means you're breaking the staple fibers.
Yes, that's the main drawback.
They get shorter and weaker every time you chop them up. So a thread spun from recycled cotton isn't going to have the tensile strength of a virgin cotton thread.
That's exactly right. Because the mechanical tearing shortens the staple length of the fiber, it loses a lot of strength.
So how do they make clothes out of it again?
To spin it back into high-quality yarn for new clothing, those recycled fibers usually have to be blended with a percentage of virgin fibers just to maintain structural integrity.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because of those shortened, weakened fibers, a massive amount of this recovered material doesn't actually become clothing again.
No, it crosses over into completely different industries.
Yeah. Those shredded, fluffy fibers are incredibly effective at trapping air and dampening vibration.
Which makes them perfect for insulation.
Exactly. So they become thermal home insulation. They become automotive acoustic padding.
Sure.
You could be driving down the highway right now, and the sound muffling insulation inside your car's door panel could literally be made from the destroyed denim jeans you dropped in a retail bin 3 years ago.
It's an incredible metamorphosis.
Yeah.
But, as you rightly deduced, mechanical recycling does have its limitations with that fiber degradation.
Right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the industry's